Today I will be sharing our recent trip to Skagway, Alaska and the trip on the White Pass and Yukon Railway. We start at the cruise ship terminal and head into the Alaskan wilderness on the way to White Pass Summit, where we touch Canada, loop around and come back. It's an amazing journey with incredible views. So here we are in beautiful, picturesque, where are we? Skagway, Alaska. This is the Norwegian Encore, our cruise ship, which has been pretty impressive so far. Here's our train with 14 carriages and no reserved seats. Let's go stand in line and get on board. Luckily, the line moved quickly. The condition of the carriages, both inside and out, was excellent. The seat backs were very low. That's because they can be flipped depending on the direction the train is going. We started moving, but came to a stop almost immediately at the station in town.
Once again, folks, we'll just stopped here momentarily to let a few more passengers board our train. Once they're on, we will start chugging our way up the mountain. As you saw when boarding, there are platforms at the front and back of each train car. Within Skagway city limits, these platforms must remain clear. So I'll make an announcement when I have heard from our listeners to clear city limits so that you can go outside after that. While outside, please make sure you understand that you are not allowed at any time to cross from car to car. And please stay off the thin metal bridges connecting the cars together. Rule is that there is absolutely no crossing from car to car. The only people that are allowed to cross from car to car are our train staff. There is no smoking at any time inside or outside the train cars, and this does include electronic cigarettes. If we do catch you smoking, we will have to assume that you have caught on fire and take the necessary measures to put you out. There is also no consumption of alcohol allowed at any time during our trip today. Please save that for one of the many bars and saloons in our town of Skagway. Please let one of our train staff know, and we will be glad to help you.
Here we are approaching the White Pass Railroad Yard. This is an impressive operation with a lot of rolling stock for a small privately owned tourist railroad, even though Carnival Cruise Line owns a small part of it. Here's the maintenance shed, along with more carriages. It's worth mentioning that this railroad operates on a 3-foot narrow gauge track. We start our journey on the bank of the Skagway River.
We have just cleared the city limits, and I've heard from our conductor that you are now safe to go outside on those exterior platforms.
That's my cue to go outside and enjoy the crisp cold air and scenery as our train climbs up almost 3,000 feet.
Please do not put your weight on those chains, as they are not weight bearing.
This caboose is for rent from the Park Service, and according to the guide, it sleeps up to 6 people uncomfortably. elevation it gets chillier with some drizzle, and we start getting closer to the cloud cover. At this clearing, you can just barely see Skagway and our cruise ship in the harbor at sea level. Unlike Juneau, Skagway is not landlocked. The road on the other side of the valley is the Klondike Highway. It connects into Canada, and you can drive all the way into the Yukon as well as Fairbanks and Anchorage, Alaska. But this railroad is captive and does not connect to any other track. The landscape was green and lush with lots of glacier water flowing down the mountain. In many places, the carved-out path for the railroad was just inches away. As the train climbed higher and higher, the colder and more spectacular the scenery became. sights and sounds of the railroad and the surrounding forests and winds were amazing. This is the side spur that we stop at on our return journey to allow the next train in the opposite direction to pass. As we are the first train of the day, there is no other train waiting here. Now we are approaching a beautiful trestle bridge at Glacier Station, a former steam engine refilling spot. A crew lived here and maintained the rail bed during the era of steam-powered trains. Here at the 16-mile mark, we are on one of the larger trestle bridges 1,000 feet above the floor of the gulch as we disappear straight into Tunnel Mountain. The snap pole next to the Inspiration Point sign is from the old telegraph system. We are now nearing the highest point of our journey, and as we are traveling in the clouds, a structure fades into view called the Ghost Bridge. Constructed in 1901 and used until 1969, it was the tallest cantilevered bridge in the world. We are now at 2,700 feet elevation, approaching the bridge and tunnel constructed to replace the Ghost Bridge. There you can see the remains of the Ghost Bridge with its missing section. As we exit the last tunnel on our way to the White Pass summit, there is a small section of the original White Pass Trail, once the primary route from Skagway to the ridges of the goldfields. Up at this elevation, the temperature was freezing, the cloud cover low, and the scenery breathtaking. We had reached the summit. We briefly crossed into Canada to make a left loop to turn around for our descent. Surprisingly, this was the only wildlife I saw on this whole trip. We had completed the loop and were now en route back to Skagway. I was now on the mountain side of the carriage for the return trip. Which meant that I now had a prime viewing spot for everything on this side. Such as this large stream, this small waterfall, this beautiful multifaceted waterfall, along with many others that I simply didn't catch on the way up. Now we're entering Tunnel Mountain, which will be the last tunnel on our downhill trek. Upon exiting, we will have a stunning view of Glacier Gorge. Continuing downhill, we could see water seeping out of the mountainside rock, more waterfalls and streams, and still more stunning vistas. Nearing Glacier Station, we got a beautiful look at one of the main eastern tributaries of the Skagway River. Here we slowed down to a crawl to let the next northbound train pass. There were many more waterfalls to be seen as we continued downhill. This would be our last river crossing as we went across the East Fork feeding into the Skagway River. The rest of the journey will be on the east bank of the Skagway River all the way back into town. I would like to give a quick shout out to YouTuber Super Alps Travels. His train videos inspired me to make this one. As we're nearing the end of this journey, let's check out some of the amenities on this train. There's an oil burning heater in the carriage, making the interior comfortable. The restored carriages are very well maintained. And there is a toilet on each carriage, which is reasonably clean and stocked. And the last sight to see as our journey concludes is the Gold Rush Cemetery. We end our rail journey where it started, in Skagway next to the dock of our cruise ship. I tried to buy tickets directly, but they were sold out more than a week prior to the cruise. There were plenty available through the cruise line though, so I think they allocate most of their tickets to them. With a $50 onboard credit, it was only a few dollars more for 2 people. Overall, this was an excellent shore excursion and definitely a must-do on an Alaskan cruise. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you.